This episode of You Don't Say is brought to you in part by Midwest Pond Design. Midwest Pond Design serves Northeast Illinois and Southeast Wisconsin with water feature design, installation, maintenance and repair, hardscaping, and more. Call Midwest Pond Design today at 847-949-1281 or visit them online at midwestponddesign.com. So here's the story. In the mid 60s, a kid's born to a middle class working family on the southwest side of Chicago. In birth order, he's the youngest of his siblings by quite a few years. So maybe he was a love child. I don't know. Anyway, the kid grows up as a pretty normal childhood, going to school, goofing off in the neighborhood, playing sports. And holy shit, this kid was an athlete. He excelled at just about every sport he tried. And I'm not talking about full ride scholarship, pro draft choice level, but he stood out and was a leader on every organized team he played on. I connected with him when we were in our later years of high school, and we played softball together for a few years, and he was just a phenomenal softballer. Now, for those of you who don't know, Chicago style softball is a little bit different from the type played everywhere else that uses a 12-inch ball and gloves, and it's more like baseball. Chicago softball involves a 16-inch ball about the size of a large pomelo and doesn't use gloves, so a good set of hands is pretty useful. After a few years, we drifted apart as we went off to school and on to our lives. He goes to work for a logistics company for about 10 years. And near the end of that run with the company, he made a run for mayor of his hometown, Mundelein, Illinois, which is just north of Chicago, and is accused of having mob ties. So more on that in a bit, but go figure, Chicago, right? Also around this time, he launched his own business doing ponds, water feature design, maintenance, and hardscaping, including freestanding stone arches. All this work with water led him to start thinking about the impact of having a clean, potable source of it. And so then he committed his business to supporting the building of wells in the arid regions of Africa. So now here's the rub. This guy, the athlete, the guy who builds freestanding stone arches and does hardscaping, he's born with only half a right arm. So today I'm talking with a good friend of mine, Al Stubitsch. And as I mentioned, Al was born with, for lack of a better term, a handicap of having only half a right arm. Now, for all practical purposes, for this, it was anything but a handicap for Al. It formed the way that he thought about things, ingrained a tenacity in him, and helped him to excel at just about everything he laid his hand to. Pun intended? You be the judge. Anyway, Al lives in the northern burbs of Chicago, Mundelein, where he and his wife Linda are proud parents of two boys, the oldest, James, who's following in dad's footsteps into sports, and the youngest, Joshua, Al's Viking, who teaches Al life lessons on a daily basis. Now, about 20 years ago, Al launched Midwest Pond Design and really found he had a joy in the work because of the creativity it afforded him and being outside and splashing around in puddles all day. So after a few years of the pond thing, and after his oldest was born, Al got to thinking about making a difference in the world. So Al, thanks for playing along today. And why don't you take the story from there?
Um, how's it going, Drew? Long time
Good.
no see, man.
Yeah.
The story really is what we're doing on a daily basis, and that's a water feature design installation. The we'll start going backwards from here. So the installation of wells in Africa and other areas that started around 2012. It was January 1st, 2012, and I was sitting at my dining room table. I have a 7-year-old across from me playing.
Is James your
And
oldest?
James, yeah, he's 7 at the time, and he, you're thinking, what can I do to leave a legacy for him? What will he remember about his dad? So I wanted to do something good in the world. We can go back to other stuff later on, but I needed to do something good for myself also. At that point in my life, I had just come out of a really dark period, and I was really getting my feet under me again. And and I wanted to set a really good example for my son. And I thought, how can I integrate it with water? With where do people need water in the world? So I started doing research, and I found a lot of areas in the United States that need help, but really there's a need for water around the world. 12 to 15% of the world doesn't have access to clean water, and
Right.
it's an amazing amount if you go into the millions of people. So what could I do? So I found a couple of companies where they have drilling rigs in these countries, and they just need people to fund wells. So January 1st, 2012, I set a goal of $3,000 to $4,000. How hard could it be, Drew? 300
Right.
friends
Right.
a piece. It was going to be easy. And after the first month, I raised like $160, and I
And so,
realized,
at this point, you'd already identified a specific nonprofit or charity, right?
correct, the water project. You know what? Where 100% of everything you donate goes directly to the project you choose. So it seemed legit. I looked at it, I checked it out. It was legit. I spoke with people, and we started the fundraiser. And like I said, after the first month, we struggled. Then it was, how can I raise money faster?
Hmm.
So I integrated my business into it. A lawn aeration, to put holes in your lawn where you fertilize and water and your grass will be greener, is $60. Well, I'll aerate your lawn and donate $60 to this charity, and 5 people get water for the rest of their life. And we're not talking
Cool.
tap water, Drew. We're talking, a well drilled into the ground where you hand pump it out. And me or you, this is well water. This is,
Right. Right. Right.
water, but it's not killing them either. They're not going blind. They're not dying of diseases. They're not walking miles to get to this.
Right.
So that's how it all started. Next, I started raising money, and then came snowplow season. Same thing. Instead of paying me to push snow out of your driveway so you don't have to drive on it, let's save 2 lives today. And then next,
Yeah.
I raised enough, and first well goes in the ground. I cry my eyes out. Oh my God, look what I did. 1,500 people, a school,
S- So
kids.
this was 2012, 2013?
Yeah, right. So
Yeah.
that's 2012, 2013. So then I immediately start another fundraiser. Let's raise 5,000 this time, and it just keeps growing to where people in the community are involved. Next thing you know, we're having an annual event at a brewery, Tighthead Brewing Company, downtown Mundelein.
All right.
We're getting together once a year and raising enough to fund a well project by drinking beer. you know 50% of the proceeds were going towards these donations, and next thing you know, people are getting involved. People know who I am. I'm the guy who built wells in other
Right.
countries.
So how many wells have you funded now?
Eight wells in
Okay.
7 years.
Okay.
So it's funny, Drew. What started as, gee, I hope I can pull it off, turned into something.
Now it's a thing.
Now it's a thing.
Yeah.
It's a local thing. And obviously right now, with current events going on, it's going to be a little harder to raise money for
Right.
a third world country when we're in the middle of a
So
crisis.
when I asked you about this, and are you doing a current fundraiser drive?
Right.
You mentioned that to me, like, okay, things are going on in the world right now. People are out of work, but here's the thing: as I thought about it, and by the way, the water project can be found at thewaterproject.org, and they are a GuideStar Platinum charity, so they're fully vetted. They're the real deal. But
Okay.
anyway, I started thinking about that, and I'm like, you know what? People are still shopping for groceries, and I bet a lot of people on their grocery list is a bottle of wine, a 12-pack, something. So my thought
Case
is,
of water.
You know what? Take 1 week where you're not buying that bottle of wine or that 12-pack, and throw the $20 down a well, and look at the
Isn't it
magic
amazing?
that, yeah,
It's amazing. You mean when James was younger? 'Cause like I said, he started when he was 7. We would like go, hey, let's go to McDonald's. Well, instead of McDonald's, we could donate $10 to the water project, and a person would have water for the rest of their life.
right.
Instead of another plastic toy in the house. And now, as he's gotten older, it's helped him realize the value of a dollar too, how far it can go and what it really could do.
Right. And then he's also, I mean, talk about your ripple effect. He's also taken this to his classrooms, right? To share with his classmates and talk about it.
Right. I've spoken at his grade school numerous times when he was in grade school. Now he's moved on to high school. I haven't spoken there yet, but would love to. But it was really neat to get other children involved where you're telling them and showing them pictures of a classroom with these kids who don't have a water source. They're carrying empty jugs to school with them to fill them up at the school. You're teaching these kids what a huge impact they're having on the world at such a young age. And hopefully they
Right.
took something away from it.
Right. Cool. And so you've kind of put this out there, James. What does he say about it?
He thinks it's great. He thinks it's amazing. It was an education for him also. Just to learn all about the other parts of the world and see how people live.
Yeah.
To see how good we have it.
Right.
We have food on the table every day. We have access to
Just take it for
water.
granted, right?
We don't even use the water. We have a tap sitting on the sink and we're drinking bottles of soda.
Yeah.
That's it.
Crazy.
It is
And
crazy.
now, of course, with what's going on right now, nobody's traveling anywhere. But any thoughts of traveling to Africa to go participate in the building or to see some of the wells? Or
They don't recommend it. They don't recommend you being there, and I understand. I would love to go see my wells one day.
Yeah.
Not my wells, but you get it.
Yeah.
I would love to see them. But same thing. You get off a plane and rent a car and
Right.
where you stay and good luck. But,
Right.
but it's beautiful to have them built.
Right. Cool. So anyway, I hope you get a drive going regardless of what's happening in the world, because I think you got to take that perspective is, just go to that appeal and say, look, don't have a beer this weekend.
Right.
Put it in the well.
More of our conversation right after this. There's nothing like a cold drink of water. Think about how many times a day or week you fill a glass of water. Really, you're not even thinking about it. You just walk up to the sink or fridge and tap a fresh glass without worrying about whether the water's safe to drink. It's really a luxury, In many parts of the world, particularly in sub-Saharan Africa, the lack of drinkable water is a real crisis. It affects women, children, families, and farmers who spend hours a day fetching dirty water, sometimes miles from where they live, which leads to disease, illness, and really takes their futures away from them. A lack of access to safe water and sanitation limits education, food production, and harms the health and leads to a cycle of poverty that's really almost impossible to get out of. When you support the Water Project, you help bring clean water through new and rehabbed wells and dams, rainwater catchment systems, and/or spring protections to schools and medical clinics and villages. The Water Project believes in local, in-country solutions through local national leaders and can help end the water crisis one partnership at a time. So, yeah, I know things are tight right now and uncertain here in the United States, but consider taking a pass on that six-pack or bottle of wine this weekend and tossing that money down a well, one that can change the lives of so many people. Go to thewaterproject.org and make a donation, start a fundraiser, or seek out a business to launch one, just like Al Stubitsch of Midwest Pond Design did, and start changing the world one glass at a time.
So let's talk about you. And I've always admired your athletic ability. And talk to me about growing up with the physical situation you had with having half arm. Your parents did a fantastic job of giving you confidence, putting you out there. How did that, I'm going to call it a liability, though it isn't, but how did that kind of form your approach to everything?
I gave this thought today, Drew. I actually thought, wow, Drew's going to probably ask me about this, and I really kicked it around a lot. Well, I'm the youngest of 8 kids, and the more I think about it, it's a blessing and a curse for me. Blessing, I was probably not coddled as much as I could have been. I was
Right.
the youngest of 4 boys. I got my butt kicked. I got thrown down steps, zipped up in a sleeping
Right.
bag.
They
You know
didn't,
what
they didn't give a shit who you were their baby brother and they were
I
going to
mean?
pound on you.
I had 4 sisters, give me a
Right.
break. They didn't care. They'd get out of my room, get away from
Right.
me.
Right.
I had parents who, I have 2 kids, hey dad, hey dad, hey dad, try 8. Try being the
Right.
youngest of 8. You're fighting for any attention
Right.
whatsoever. So
Well, I think
that
about that too, because I'm the youngest of 6. So,
right. Oh, your parents, you were screaming for attention at that
yeah.
point,
Yeah.
and so therefore you became whatever it took to make everybody
Well,
laugh.
I had at least one baby picture in the photo albums. Did you?
God, I don't. Oh, it's like, oh yeah, we have an 8th. Yeah, but I gave it a lot of thought, and I thought about like my parents, like youngest
Yeah.
of 8. You have 7 kids, and here comes number 8, and he's born missing part of an arm. Like
Right.
what a scary situation it was for them.
Yeah.
And so I just come into the fold, and you're just that was it. It was just here he is. He's eating, he's moving, he's breathing.
Right.
Good job. Good job.
Right.
I'm healthy as all hell. So thank God for that.
Right.
So as far as the confidence, you had no choice. I'm chasing 3 older brothers that you're trying to be better at. You're trying to be stronger than. You're
Right.
trying to you're trying to kick ass, Drew.
Right. Right.
That's where it started. You get into grade school, and like I said, I gave this a lot of thought today. So blessing and curse, without a doubt. I was given a lot of attention, still am. Try walking through a store without being looked at.
Right.
Well,
So yeah, I can imagine, but
right.
Yeah.
So as a kid, you had to deal with it. You're going to be asked every day. There's going to be comments about you. So you grow this skin, and you grow this I don't give a shit attitude also.
Right.
And that toughens you up a little more. You adapt. Then when it comes to sports, you want to fit in. You desperately want to fit in. You don't want to be overlooked. You don't want to be mocked or made fun of. So
Right.
you better know what you're doing quickly. And not only is that, but now I'm going to be better than you. And when someone looks to stare, well, they're going to stare at something that they've never seen before.
Right.
I'm going to put on a show. So same thing. It became a blessing, a curse. You want all this attention. You want to be
Right.
great, but yet you don't want people to pay attention to you either.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you had a tremendous. You still do have a tremendous drive. Like in the book and movie The Natural, with the Bump Bailey guy that runs through the wall. That was Al. He's going to get the damn ball no matter what he's got to go through, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And so
the water fountain at Normandy Field.
Yeah.
Was too close to
Normandy Field's where we played softball. Yeah.
It was too close to foul territory. That's
a concrete water fountain.
A concrete water fountain. Yeah. You can't see it when you're looking up for a ball.
Right.
It's around. Yeah.
Yeah.
God,
That'll wake you up.
That'll wake you up. You okay? Yeah. That only hurts. The leg will heal.
Yeah. So thinking of those days, softball, we had a hell of a lot of fun. And as I was thinking about this conversation, one of the guys, Mark, that we played with, his uncle, who was a bachelor, Uncle Blob is what we called him. He's lived by himself, and he'd come out and watch the ball games, and then he would just kind of open his backyard up for us to have parties. And I'll never forget watching in the garage. He had the boombox in the garage or something, and Billy Idol, Dancing by Myself, came on. They turned around and there's Al just dancing by himself, nobody else. That's no fear. He didn't care about being on stage. So
apparently we were overserved in that backyard a few times.
You think?
I think?
Yeah, way overserved.
Yeah.
So in 97,
yes,
you run for mayor. And you have all these implications with the mob. Talk to me about what made you run, and then talk to me about Guido. What was all that about?
All right. So the 97 mayoral run, before that, a couple of years before that, there was a tollway that was to be extended through Mundelein. It's still on the books. You mean, but they've been fighting it for years. Well, it rears its head again, and it's going to interfere with my house. It's going to interfere with the area. It's going to interfere with the environment. So I get together with a bunch of people, and we're going to fight it, and I meet some people in neighboring suburbs and great people, and I get involved. And, I find out about my local government also, and I realize that I can make a difference here. By then, I had some management experience. I had a little overzealous confidence at the time, and I decided I'm going to make
At the time, right? Not
it comes and goes, Drew. It comes and
yeah,
goes.
yeah.
So, so I make a run at mayor. I get a couple of people to run with me. They're going to run as trustees. We're just going to take the board. 4 out of 7 seats. Let's change everything about Mundelein. The things they're arguing about in the election coming up are
Right.
still going on in town. 20-some years. Politics doesn't ever changes. So I decided to run for mayor, and there's this restaurant in town owned by this Greek family. Nationality doesn't matter, but that's the mob I was tied to. And they can't get a liquor license. What a surprise, Drew. Liquor license controversy in Chicago politics.
Right.
So they can't get a liquor license. So I get a call from a friend of a friend who knows the family, and they ask me flat out, if you're elected, will you give them a liquor license? And I said, yes, it's a restaurant. Why wouldn't they get a liquor license? Well, here, the current administration is not going to give this family a liquor license because they also own other restaurants and a couple of adult stores near the Wisconsin border. And that was it. They were never going to
Yeah.
get a liquor license in Mundelein. So I said, yes, I would give them a liquor license. So next thing you know, this restaurant, which is closed at the time because they're renovating it, becomes one gigantic billboard for me. Every window has, we're not talking 4x8 feet, Drew. We're talking like the entire building. I never took pictures of it, which really,
Yeah.
I didn't a lot of pictures of what was going on at the time. It was just a whirlwind at the time. But the entire building was like covered in, vote for Stubitsch, making it better Mundelein, make changes, like all these things about the current mayor and the current administration and vote for me. And
Right.
there was no internet at the time either. So the press gets a hold of me and, someone on the board, I was tied to them, so I had mob ties. So that was it. That was my mob ties. They put up billboards. They covered an
Well,
entire building and vote for me.
at
I
least
lost.
nobody went and slept with the fishes or anything like that on your
Nobody,
account that we
nobody
know
that we know of.
of. Right.
But I build ponds.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, you're digging these holes, and who knows?
I got good at digging holes. What can I say?
All right. So,
Yes.
then after that, you
After.
kind of get into starting the business, and then I think maybe 6 or 7 years after you started Midwest Pond, you during like what led you to hardscaping? I mean, and pond design and
I was working for a corporation, and I was working there like
a
10 years.
logistics company, right?
Company, yes. And so
Yeah.
we were going through mergers, and I was surviving the mergers, which was fantastic. So here you're just moving on to the next step, and you're consolidating facilities, and it's going great. And one day we're going to make a merger, and that guy's going to make a couple more thousand less than you, and you're going to be gone. So the writing's on the wall eventually. It's just the way it works. So I'm home, and I got this house now, and I'm doing landscaping around it. I'm building retaining walls, and I'm pretty
Right.
good at it. And it's like I can build level walls, beating the hell out of these bricks and stuff. And it's like, wow, people would probably pay me to do this.
Yeah.
And that's how it started. It started within a minivan before I even had a truck.
Down by
Started
the
in a
river.
Down by the river. Exactly. Fat guy in a
Yeah.
hoodie, man. I look a little beefy in this thing.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, that's how it's all started. It started in 1999 with no employees and me, and driving around and just hoping for business. And you work it and you work it, and it 20 years later, I'm still building. It's kept me going, kept everything going, and that's beautiful.
You're listening to You Don't Say. We'll be right back with our conversation right after this. So, you've launched your business. Now what? Unless you're like us, you didn't launch your business to become a branding and marketing maven. Left Brain, Right Brain Marketing works with smaller businesses, develop killer brands, and help you engage your audiences in more meaningful and lasting ways, creating a cohort of raving fans and loyal customers. If you're ready to get out of the branding business and focus on what you do best, give us a call at 503-961-3647 or check us out online at lbrbm.com. Left Brain, Right Brain Marketing.
It's the American dream, right?
Yeah. So about 6 or 7 years after you started Midwest Pond, then
Yes,
you go to the Flower and Garden Show,
correct.
and the local news, WGN News,
WGN News.
does a story on you for the stone arches. And we don't have to go too deep into this,
Right.
but you talked about this stretch of a dark period you went through.
Yes.
And you and I lost a friend to depression a couple years ago, very good friend.
Yep.
And so, I think it's important to talk about this and just let people know. There's a lot of people who deal with it, right?
Correct.
So what I was curious about, did the rock stacking and stone arches, was that kind of part of your therapy or processing in it?
The Flower and Garden Show. You mean when I was going down to the Flower and Garden Show? The Chicago Flower and Garden Show is one of the largest in the world, and I used to go to it, and you'd walk through the lines, and you'd see all these displays, and you'd see all these companies, and you wanted to be them. You
Right.
wanted to be them, and so I go through my period where I needed to learn how to be responsible human being again.
Yeah.
And so I come out the other side, and things are good. Things are a hell of a lot better than they've ever been. And I'm doing everything right, and I'm kicking ass building things, building beautiful things. And the Flower and Garden Show approaches me to come down and be a vendor, be a builder. And I just jump at the opportunity. Why wouldn't I? I get to be down there and look at,
Mm-hmm.
out of
You had a
out of
pretty big display.
out of the ashes, Drew. It's one of those
Yeah.
stories, oh my God, I'm bumping shoulders with these guys, who I used
Right.
to stare up at, like, oh my God, I want to be you. Now I see what you're all about, and you're building the same stuff I'm building,
Right.
And so
Right.
you get into this arch, you get into balancing stones on top of it, and you just get a feel for it, and it comes with patience, and you learn patience in life, Drew. As we got
Right.
older, we got more patient, more wise,
Right.
And the arch, the freestanding arch, is just pieces of stone stacked in a frame, and you just start on the ends, and you work your way to the middle, and you get yourself a center block, and you lower and reduce it, and you have an arch. And from that
Right.
arch, you can build off it, and next thing you know, you have a wall with an arch, and it's been done since the beginning of time. The
Right.
Greek, the Romans, they built beautiful arches,
Right.
So
But
I built,
not everybody can pull it off, to be
no,
honest.
it
I mean, it
the
takes a
bad part of
special mindset.
Oh, 2,000 pounds of stone up. You start releasing, it collapses. 2,000
Yeah.
stone to the side. Set it up again. I was out there for days and days.
Right.
It's you learn. You learn from the error, and it's painful, but you'll learn.
Right. So let's talk about your boys for a bit.
Yes.
Most of the guys in our group,
Yes.
our kids are adults and out in the world. You came to fatherhood a little bit later than the rest of us anyway.
Yes.
And so what is it having youngins in the house at 55 teaching you?
It's great. It's fun. You enjoy it so much. I have so much more time now.
Yeah.
If I would have had them at 25, I was so self-absorbed at the time, Drew, I would have been a shitty dad.
Yeah. Yeah.
To go through life and to be kicked in the teeth a few times, come out the other side, and to look at these guys, the youngest, wakes up way too early every morning and comes up and, it's 5:45 in the morning today. And why is it
He's
foggy?
kind of like Bart Simpson, isn't he?
He's kind of like me on too many energy drinks every day.
Yeah.
Just, he's fun. It's
Yeah.
fun. Drew. I have a great time with it. The 15-year-old now can't believe he's 15.
Yeah.
He's grown up to be a fine young man, and that's all you want. You want them to be better than you ever were, and
Right.
you can just do nothing but teach them the lessons that you've learned, no matter how painful it was.
Right.
And so,
I'm following along on Facebook, watching that, and he's learning some of those lessons right now.
right now,
You
it's a
know,
tough age. 15
you
is a
can
tough age.
bust your ass to get something done, and
Yep,
it doesn't always matter
it doesn't
because
always.
it's going to be who somebody knows.
That's right. Welcome to
And
life.
so
Welcome to life. And he's taking it well, and the 5-year-old's going to be hilarious. And he's going to
Yeah.
know well, and they're. I enjoy the hell out of them.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that I have the opportunity to. The job has given me that opportunity.
Right.
So it's
S-
I keep saying I may not leave him $1 million, but if I can leave the world two replacements,
Yeah.
hell yeah.
Who are centered and have
That's
a
it.
big perspective than
Don't
the
be an asshole.
neighborhood. Yeah.
Just don't be an asshole.
Right. Right. That so much would be better if the people did that one thing.
Just don't be an asshole, okay? Is that the
Right.
title of this?
Right.
Um,
So give me some words of wisdom, Al. There's people out there who have physical challenges, mental challenges, whatever. Um, what do you have to say to those folks when they are thinking about their situation and they get down?
it starts small. It starts small, Drew. While I'm talking with you, a red-winged blackbird flew across from me here, and I'm staring at it.
Yeah.
Enjoy it. Right
Yeah.
now, with what's going on in the world, I've seen more people walking with their families. I've
Right.
seen more people jogging. Right now, this is going to be a dated interview at one time, I'm sure, but
Right.
right, like restaurants are having a rough time. Drew, when me and you were kids, how many times did your parents take you to the restaurant?
Yeah.
Never.
Every
Ever.
yeah.
You know what I mean? A restaurant was a big deal.
Yeah.
That was a big deal. It was a home cooked meal.
Yeah.
And that's what you're going back to. Unfortunately for some, fortunately for others, more kids are hopefully getting more attention than they've gotten in years right now.
Right. Right.
Social media is giving them the opportunity to connect with their friends still,
Right.
but hopefully your families are becoming more grounded at this time,
Yeah.
and my words of wisdom is it starts small. It starts small in the morning. You wake up every day, and my little guy, Joshua, every day, Drew, he'll get to the farthest part of the house and run full speed at me. And I grab him and I hold him up.
Yeah.
And he even says, there's nothing better than a morning hug. Every day. Nothing better than a morning hug.
Awesome.
Yeah, isn't that cool?
Awesome.
It's
So what about for parents of children with physical disabilities? I like to put it in terms of differently abled because that to me is what they are. But what do you have to offer parents of kids?
just work with them. You mean,
Yeah.
as you get older, I've said that a few times now, Drew, but communication. When they're small, they don't know any better. They're only going to learn what you teach them or how you react, right? Your
Right.
kid falls down, how you react is everything. I've seen my kid wipe out on his bike, and you just sit there like it was nothing. And you're like, hey, don't do that to the bike.
Right.
Get up.
back up.
Get up. I ain't walking over there to pick you up. I can't. It's like
Right.
I'm not running. Those
No
days are gone.
helicopter parenting.
You can't. You
Yeah.
can't. You know what I mean? It's like they've got to learn. They've got to fall. They've got, not too hard, but,
Right.
get up. And, if someone's born in a situation that's tougher than mine, and I'm sure there is. And that's where it all comes into play too, Drew. Like I said, people look at me and go, oh my God. There's still people who do that, Drew. It's great.
Yeah.
It's hilarious. I walk into a grocery store and people are like, what do you need? Do you need me to carry that for you? And you're like,
Yeah.
what? Like, you want a bag? No, I don't want a bag. I'm going to carry I'm going to juggle 8 items on the way out. It's
Right. Right.
it's funny. It's to me,
Yeah.
it's funny. Like I'm okay. You know, there's people like we talk about. There's people who are very mixed up in the world, and they've got all limbs. You know,
Right. Right.
so I'm very fortunate. And you know, if you have a child with a disability, you know, it's not the ideal situation for you. But then again, this is the life that they were given, and they're gonna be great. You know, somehow that spirit, that soul is gonna be wonderful. You know,
Yeah. Let them get out there, right?
that's it. That's it.
And,
You know,
and they're going to
there's,
fail at things eventually. You got to
and
let
there's
them fail
always,
forward.
and there's always someone in worse shape, Drew. You know, there's
Right.
always someone in worse shape. Like I said, I got my health. I'm doing great. I'm missing an arm. Yeah, I'm still
Right.
lift boulders like you wouldn't believe. It's nuts. I don't understand how I haven't fallen apart yet, but you know,
Yeah.
missing one thing, picked up another.
Right. So, anyway,
My hair looks
I'm
like hell.
you look marvelous, Al.
Listen here.
You look marvelous.
I gave myself a
I'm
haircut. Wow.
I'm hoping that maybe next year we can get another softball team get together.
We need to.
To
Time's
hopefully
running
this
out. We're running out of players, for God's sakes.
right,
You know?
right, right, right. So, anyway, thanks for your time today and sharing some of your wisdom. And again, for anybody who is inclined to do so, look into the Water Project, thewaterproject.org.
Yep.
Again, they're a platinum level charity and guide star, so you're not going to go wrong with them.
Do a Google search for Water Project Midwest Pond Design. Somehow the combination will come up where you'll see the active water project I have going. I'll get another one going here soon. Midwest Pond Design, Facebook.
MidwestPondDesign.com. Right.
Look at the pictures. They're pretty.
Yeah.
Very pretty.
Yeah.
I'm
So, anyway,
15 minutes here.
cool.
Cool.
It was good talking to you, Al. I'll talk to you again soon, and keep after it, my friend.
I love you, Drew.
I love you too.
All right.
Take her easy.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening in. To listen to more episodes, visit us online at youdon'tsay.net. If you have a story to tell, if you know somebody who does, or if you just have a few ideas on topics you'd like to hear conversations about, shoot us an email to info@youdon'tsay.net. Thanks again, and we'll see you in the next episode.